Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about the leaked text. The University of Idaho murders leaked text. So there were two roommates who were in the house the day that the four students were murdered, and police looked at their phones and saw that they texted each other in the early morning hours after the murders. And I know a lot of people have a lot of opinions about it. So basically, the two roommates who did not get murdered were Dylan and Bethany. Bethany was on the first floor. It was kind of a secluded hallway, and you get to it mainly through the front door. And then Dylan was on the same floor as Ethan and Xana. And then on the third floor was Kaylee and Maddie. So basically, Dylan's testimony is that she heard someone say, "Someone's in the house." And then she heard, like a little after that, she heard crying. She heard Xana crying. And then she opened her door to see what was going on, and she encountered a man in a mask with bushy eyebrows, and she shut her door. So Dylan texted, "What's going on?" And that was to someone upstairs. So that was to like Kaylee or Maddie, but they never answered. So she contacted Bethany and she put, "I'm freaking out." They began texting back and forth around 4:30 in the morning, and it was soon after Dylan had seen the masked man in her hallway outside her door. So Dylan texted or called each of the victims around 4:30 in the morning and received no response. So she texted Xana, Ethan, Kaylee, and Maddie. So she texted Bethany and she said, "I'm freaking out. No one is answering the phone." She described seeing someone wearing a ski mask almost, and Bethany told her to run downstairs to her bedroom so they could be together. She put, "It's better than being alone." So then 7 hours later, and I think it was around 11 a.m., is when someone called 911, and it was one of their friends. So eventually Bethany or Dylan texted one of their friends. They said they couldn't get a hold of the other roommates. So one of those friends came by. I think it was a male friend, and he decided to check on the other roommates, and he saw, I think it was Ethan or Xana, on the floor. So they called 911. And then the first 911 call was just about an unconscious person, I remember. So a lot of people have said, like, why didn't Bethany or Dylan call 911 sooner? And I mean, of course, we all wish they would have. I personally think maybe if they called 911 right away, possibly one of the victims could have survived. Like, it might have been a matter of they were bleeding out, and if someone rendered aid, they might have not died. But Bethany and Dylan did not know that the 4 roommates were murdered. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, when you're like 20 and 19, 21, the age of these victims and roommates, do you guys remember being that age? And you don't want to like be embarrassed. So this sounds crazy, but think about it. What if none of the roommates had died? Like, there wasn't even a murder, and they all were sleeping, and Dylan calls 911, the police come, they all wake up, and then they're like, Dylan, why'd you call 911? That was so stupid. You know, we were sleeping. And then she feels dumb, and possibly, you know, they don't want her to be their roommate anymore. Like, stuff like that happens all the time. So I feel like that could be a little part of it, you know. And then the second part is fear that someone's still in there. So her saying run to my room is, you know, an example of how scared they were, and they possibly could have thought this person's still in the house. They just don't know that there's 2 other roommates, and once they come out of their room, they're gonna be targeted, they're gonna be murdered maybe. So that could be a reason they didn't call 911. But I think at first I probably thought in my mind, like, why didn't she call 911? But now I get it a little more, because in a way, them 2 are victims too. They were both there, and they survived. And when someone survives something, should you question what they had to do to survive? She felt like she had to be quiet, like she couldn't call 911 in order to survive. She probably had a lot of fear at that time. And that, with her being young, she possibly was even drunk, because it was like a night where she came home late. I'm not gonna judge her for not calling 911. I mean, obviously we all wish she did, but I wouldn't judge her. And you have to think, like, what would you do if that was you in that situation? I don't know. I personally think I would have maybe tried to leave the house, because Bethany's room is pretty close to the front door. I probably would have just tried to, like, you see the masked man going towards the back. I would have maybe tried to go out the front and get in my car. That's why, like, if I lived in like a college house with a bunch of roommates, I'd probably sleep with my keys on me, so that if I ran anywhere, like, I could always run to my car and get in my car and leave. I think that's a good idea. It's really a good idea for anyone with all the active shooters and stuff, is to always have your keys with you, so that you could, like, leave your purse behind and just run out a door. But then once you're out the door, you have another place to go, like to your car, and you can drive away. But that's just my opinion. I understand the opinions that people think they should have called 911. Like, I get that. I just think it's probably really hard for them. I'm sure, like, guilt, you know, is on their mind about it. I'm sure that they think about this a lot, you know, and they probably feel guilty. And so I think they're gonna be punished just by feeling guilty the rest of their life. It's just really sad that these 4 people, their lives got cut short. They had a lot of promise. Some of them were getting ready to graduate. They were like living their best college life. Like, it looked like they lived the college life like everyone would dream of, you know, where you have your friends, you go out, you just like enjoy that time in your life. And Brian, for whatever reason, killed them. I wish we could get a motive somehow, like if one of them was a target, if all of them was a target. I wish we could get some kind of motive, because I think it's confusing. But from what I remember, like, Kaylee and Maddie were killed first, and then Xana and, or then Ethan, then Xana. So it's possible he was intending to just kill Kaylee and Maddie, or one or the other, you know? And then the other people just kind of saw him, or I don't know. What a nightmare. But for it to just be random is just kind of, it's always like more sickening when something's random, because it means like it can happen to anybody. But I just want to give my opinion. I know it's not a popular opinion. I know a lot of people, like, they kind of make Dylan out to be like a villain. I just want to give my thoughts on it, and I'll see you in the next one.
You told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. Guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until